With us, Helima Croft, Global Head of Commodity Strategy at RBC Capital Markets, who I believe probably just got back from Riyadh. Yes. I know you were in Dubai, you were in Riyadh. This is not today wasn't about energy necessarily. I get it, maybe AI energy, not oil and gas. But there is no mistake, I think, Helima, that the ties are clear. And the president promised lower oil and gas prices to the electorate. Can the Saudis help us execute on that, lower prices, but also not spark any kind of a price or market share war?
Well, Brian, you bring this up, and OPEC officials have said that the decision to bring forward more barrels had nothing to do with pressure from Washington. But at a minimum, those decisions have created a beneficial, enabling environment for the deals that were announced today. And there were some energy deals announced. Aramco will be investing in U.S. refineries. They are investing in U.S. LNG facilities in the United States. So there is a Saudi energy investment angle. And I do think, for President Trump, he did speak about the benefits of lower gasoline prices. But the Saudis are getting so much of what they wanted from the United States commercially with the announcements today, particularly around defense, $142 billion deal. Also, the AI build-out is such a huge priority for Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. They really wanted those NVIDIA chips. So that announcement today, the rolling back of the AI diffusion rules, all of that is giving Saudi Arabia a lot of what they want when they think about future-proofing their country.
Yeah, it's not getting much attention, but the ending of these sanctions on Syria, I think, might give Germany the ability to do something with Syria, which you'll see that's not for this segment. Let's go back to energy, because the one thing the president did do is he slammed Iran. And he basically said, you're building all these beautiful new buildings in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. And look at Iran. I think he called them 1979 buildings, referring to the revolution. Right. They're collapsing. What's Trump's view going to be on Iran? Because if we take 1.5 million barrels a day off the market, somebody's going to have to fill that gap.
100%. And what's interesting about this Trump administration versus the Trump first administration is he is in deal maker mode when it comes to Iran as well. He's basically saying to the Iranians, forego ever having a nuclear weapon and we will make you rich as well. And the Iranians have signaled a willingness to essentially go back to at least JCPOA 2.0, essentially restrict the levels that they enrich uranium at, something, compatible with the civilian program, submit to more intrusive inspections. The real question is, what is President Trump going to look for? Is he going to ask them to dismantle the entire program, something that's being pushed by the Israeli government, people in Congress like Ted Cruz, Tom Cotton? Or is he willing to say, you know what, if you go back to the basics of the 2015 deal, submit to some more enhanced monitoring, okay, good enough, sanctions removed. So we really have to wait and see what happens. President Trump today, though, did not talk about bombing Iran if they don't come to the table. He did talk about taking their exports to zero.
Helima, just to go back to the Saudis for a second, as much as we welcome $600 billion or maybe even $1 trillion, we'll see, and they've benefited our sports leagues and all sorts of tech investments and so on and so forth. Where is the money going to keep coming from, right? If they need $90 oil to balance the budget and the debt is already growing, maybe there's an issue there, maybe not. I'm just not that familiar with their finances.
So, Kelly, this is such a great question, because when I spoke to you last, I was in Dubai and I was at the IMF Regional Economic Outlook Summit. And what was so interesting was they really bifurcated the Middle East. That you have these countries in the Gulf. You have Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, that have really pushed forward with economic reforms, especially Saudi Arabia, in terms of prioritizing non-oil growth. They've also shown a willingness to borrow in ways that they were not previously comfortable with. So, the Saudis, certainly this is not the best oil price environment for all of these new deals, but they have the capacity to weather this environment for now. And so, again, I don't think they're under the same type of fiscal pressure that they would have been under a previous government, because they have done more when it comes to economic reform. They have been more willing to borrow.